All right, so we're going to start from my left to right and go down. So, Bob, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. I got all these alerts coming up here. Would you want to give me your 30 seconds to the group?
I'm retired from being retired. I'm a advisor to a not-for-profit, which is the Mayor's Feed the Hungry here in Sarasota and Manatee County. And we're trying to do our best to use LinkedIn and events and things of that nature, not only for awareness, but to raise funds. And we had a very successful last year virtual music festival. And we had people from Mexico and a guy that played with the Eagles at one time, and they all performed. And so we're trying to get into it, and we're all long in the teeth here in Sarasota. So this is all new to us.
And for everyone who doesn't know, I was telling Bob that he reminds me of Luke Skywalker. Okay, so Karan, would you like to give us your 30 seconds?
Sure. We are a SaaS company. I have a couple of very easy to use tools to organize your research, what you find online, to be able to organize it and comment it, and also share it in content libraries. You can use it as lead magnets. You can use it to schedule your content to be distributed. And we also use that content library to build conversational chatbot. So you can put all of your important information in there and put a conversational overlay to help people find the right information.
Quick question for Karan because of my ADD, because I'll forget if I don't ask you. Have you talked to Austin, or have you not connected with him?
No, I have. Right now we have to do some kind of a redesign of how we sync our bookmarks because he has problem signing in. So by next week we should be all ready. I think he's done some work, but we should be ready, to.
So what I'm thinking is he should just do every post that I log, every post I do every day.
Yeah, he should continue.
Take 2 minutes to do that.
He should continue to curate, and then when we fix this problem, then we can just post it and then build the chatbot and do all of that.
Just so everyone knows that Karan is working with one of my guys to curate some of my content, and so one idea is to every time a post comes, curate it in that way. You have content, for multiple things, And
how do you mean curate it?
Yeah, go ahead and explain. Karan.
So curation is basically anything that you have accessible in your browser. You can add a title to it. You can add an image to it. You can write a little description. You can record the date. You can record who the publisher and who the author is, and add some content tags to identify it. And that makes it easy for you to remember what you have saved. It also makes it easy for other people to understand why they should be reading what you're sharing with them.
It's like having your own micro Google,
Yeah, that's much better than Google Chrome bookmarks. Yeah.
Yeah, the bookmarks don't allow you to add any meta information.
Right. That's right.
We make it easy to do that.
Yeah, one experiment that we're going to be doing is creating a site called Ask Troy. It's all about LinkedIn. That's it. And so I'll go ahead and pull, and we'll start curating other people's stuff that we like. So it's not, some weird stuff that has nothing to do with that subject, That way they have a more centralized place to go in and like a library of information that they can find stuff with.
So it's like the Drudge Report, only for LinkedIn, where he curates.
Sure. I don't know what that means. What is a Drudge Report?
Well, Drudge Report is like it's a news website, and every day they curate information. So yeah, for journalists and news people, it's an ideal application. And what we offer is you don't need a PhD to operate it. A lot of applications, you have to spend a lot of time to learn how to do it and then how to navigate it, and we just take all of that complexity away.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So one thing that I'm pushing Quran, and I don't know if he'll be able to pull through, but is that I wanted to have an avatar that looked like me that actually responded. You know what I mean? So it's Ash Troy, so it looks like a human, and it ties into that system. So we haven't quite worked that portion out, but it would be a really great idea for anyone that's being an authority in their area.
There's a product that just came out called Humanoids. It was on JV Zoo, and they have models, and now they have come out as of yesterday, so that you can take your own picture, and they will put and you can even put a sample of your voice or whatever, and AI will go ahead and it'll look like you on there.
Quran, write that down.
I'm gonna check it out.
Curate that.
Right.
Okay.
Humanoid.
Humanoid, yeah, and the guy's name is there you go. I'm having one of those senior moments. I'm in Sarasota, so it happened. But if you Troy, when you give all the information on everybody's contact, I'll go ahead and send that particular, or I'll look it up while we're chatting here.
Yeah, everyone can
like
feel
to
free
see
to
that.
add their contact information in the chat if they feel like they want to do that. Next, Selena. Sorry, I'm taking up so much of your time.
Not a problem. So the fluffy person or the fluffy critter that was on my lap was Claudio. You saw him. I am Selena. I am part of Office Mercenary. I'm run a group of virtual assistants that are dedicated to basically helping business owners get their time back.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Pad, you're
Hi,
next.
I'm in California. I'm a business coach. I also growth strategy. Mostly I focus on startups and small, medium enterprises. I do three things: branding, positioning, and marketing. These are the things I advise to clients.
Thank you, Pad. And Regina. Yeah, I said it right. And you're on mute.
Yes, you said it right. Thank you. Okay, so I am the CEO and founder of Transform Your Performance with the same website. And I am a multicultural transformational leadership coach. I also am an international inspirational speaker and wrote a book at some point. I help impact-driven career women increase their income, influence, and impact. And I also do leadership trainings and related talks and online presentations, mostly focusing on humanizing the workplace.
Thank you very much. I think she was the most elegant out of all of us. So
I was just running in literally. I did a quick online dance class, and this is why I was hardly presentable when I came onto the thing. So I needed just 5 minutes to just listen and
you got in the groove.
I'm a little more elegant.
You kind of showed us off there. Awesome. So we have Henry and Ed. So I'll go ahead and let Henry speak first and kind of talk about what he has going on. He's also a LinkedIn expert, a lot like what I do. We have kind of different flavors, but I really appreciate Henry because we have a lot of conversations. We're able to talk freely about making things happen, and he has an event coming up. So I would like Henry to kind of tell me what you're doing, what you do, and then tell me what you're doing for the event and some of the secrets or even some of the questions. That way,
Okay.
Ed can follow up with some of those items.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Nice to meet you, everybody. I'm Henry Schaffler from high-ticketincubator.com. I help coaches, consultants, and small business entrepreneurs develop and enroll more high-ticket clients through their funnel. It's a done with you program. We help people every step of the way. We've found these days there's so much training out there. People like us need actually to work with others. So that's what we're doing at high-ticketincubator.com. What Troy's talking about, we have a signature event at the end of June 29th to July 1st, thevirtualsellingsummit.com. I'm going to put all these links now in the chat.
Oh, great.
See if there they go. And love to have you join us at the summit. I'm also looking for affiliates to help promote it. You can do a little JV if you're interested in that. I put the affiliate page here, or you can just send me an email. So what I've learned, I've been a LinkedIn person for about five, 6 years. I started when the old school way of reaching small business owners in my local community here, I used to run peer groups like Vistage or the Alternative Board, if you've heard of those. And we would do cold calling, and we would send cold USPS mail and get a certain amount of responses. And we would follow, we had a bank of people calling those we had mailed to. And we filled up, 10 to 20 people live workshops with that method. But by about 2015, it completely dried up for anybody that's done it in the past. It was just tough. I'm hearing it may be ramping up again, which I'm happy to hear about. But for a period there, it was just impossible. So I began investigating LinkedIn. I was early in with Josh Turner, one of the prime gurus many people have heard of. I learned with him. We did a couple of things together, and it was a great opportunity. Somebody's got a nice dog like that. We saw an opportunity when they launched LinkedIn Sales Navigator. For the last 6 years or so, I've been involved in generating those same kinds of leads for myself through LinkedIn, and also partnering with other people and helping other people develop LinkedIn leads funnels. So now here we are, June 2021. And the ways we've worked in LinkedIn are beginning to wane, right? There's cycles always. So if you've been involved in LinkedIn messaging campaigns, there are things that Troy and I've been doing, and we've been serving clients together, and we're part of a global mastermind about that. I'm probably getting what, 10 or 15 lousy messages a week where somebody's saying, now they're even saying it in the connection request, right, Troy? Hey, I do this. Here's a link to my calendar. Oh, by the way, if you'd like to connect, let's do it. And I think LinkedIn's going to, ban those people pretty quickly. Some of them, and they say something like, I looked at your profile and you look really handsome, and I like your business. Let's connect. Obviously, it's a robot, right? And,
well, I mean, Henry, you are handsome, so
oh yeah,
could be.
No doubt. So then I connect, and within 30 seconds,
Oh yeah,
I get the pitch in my LinkedIn inbox. So people are sick and tired of it. So now what do we do? Well, the latest thing I've just learned about in this consortium together with Troy is LinkedIn events. And what I don't have a track record yet, but I've learned from a guy who's he brought 300 people to his event earlier this week, completely through LinkedIn events.
Oh, Henry, I got to pause you for a second. Ed and I were on a meeting the other day. I don't know if it was yesterday, the day before. I get the days mixed up. But he was showing us the events that he was helped running, and they had thousands of people, like thousands of it. So it's definitely doable.
Yeah, it depends on your reach. Here's the deal. You set up an event, simple framework. You need your company page. You don't want to do it on your profile. If you don't have a company page, you can set one up for free in about 10 minutes. You want to have some good copy and so forth on it. LinkedIn gives you a form for doing that. On your company page, you can establish an event. So when you click that establish event, it brings up another form which creates a page that looks something like a company page, but it's an event page, and it tells them when the event is. You put in some copy to show people you want to be pain point driven. Why should they attend? It needs to speak to your target. And then we can invite up to 1,000 1,000 people a week through that event page. And so that's like 200 a day for 5 business days, or, maybe a little less if you want to go 7 days. You may need a VA to do that, or you can probably use some of these robots if that's all you're going to use it for, if you can find one. And you can use then a sales navigator list. So you can segment your first level connections to exactly who your target is. As I understand it, it needs to be first level connections. So that's one challenge, perhaps. But if you set it up correctly, where you tell LinkedIn that you want people to register for your event on this event page, when people click the button that says, I want to attend, LinkedIn brings up a form for them to fill in. Now, you may say, well, I don't want that. I want them to come to my Zoom webinar form, or my GoToMeeting form, or whatever. Then I'll get it in my autoresponder. But what I've learned is LinkedIn likes it much better if you do it this way. They put the form up there on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn takes the information and creates a database which LinkedIn allows you to download. So now you can download the database with their email that they typed in and their LinkedIn URL, so you can see who they are. And what people in our consortium do, they're downloading that list, and then they're uploading that, or having their VA do it, into their email program, and then sending out the follow-up, because people, if you send them somewhere else from LinkedIn to register, they may or may not, you're going to lose some. They may say, I don't want to give you my email, but there they are on LinkedIn. There's more of a trust factor. So short answer is LinkedIn events. If you have an event, you can maybe 3 weeks, so you could message about 3,000 people to invite them to your event. And if you've got a number of people promoting it, then all of those people can invite 1,000 people a week. That's probably how that program you saw, Troy, did it. So we're going to be using this with the Virtual Selling Summit. And I can get back to you with the results. Troy, by the way, is kind enough to be a presenter in that summit. And we're excited. Now, of course, this LinkedIn event thing's going to have a shelf life. Right now, as we understand it, very few people are using it, and less of them are doing it right by having LinkedIn do the registration. Instead, they're sending people to their webinar registration page or something, which is going to cut down on the number of registrations.
One thing that you said, Henry, was important was the follow up, and I know Ed's going to kind of overlap on some of this conversation. But what we're thinking about is doing the pre. What do you call it? What's the opposite of follow up? Pre up? I don't know the word, but it's the messages you want to send beforehand to keep them still engaged.
Oh yeah, pre-event email series.
I never heard that word before. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and then you got the post-event series.
Yeah.
Right.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. And Henry, I know if you have to drop off at a certain point, I understand. I know that you have a time limit, and that's one reason I had you to speak first.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, I will. I'm going to stick around for a minute. I got to hear what Ed's got to say, but I will have to boogie off to something else. But it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, Henry, are you able to, with this LinkedIn event type thing, are you able to, if you were selling tickets to an event, are you able to do an affiliate type thing where the share of the ticket sales would go to someone who's pushing traffic to this event for you? In other words, you get 10 gurus that got connections.
That I cannot tell you.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm thinking not. LinkedIn is, I believe it's for free events.
Okay.
If you give somebody an affiliate link and they send people to your LinkedIn registration page, That's probably not, what I think is this is not the only, but this is an add-on to promoting an event along with, Bob, what you're describing there. And of course, emailing my own list and all that other stuff.
So LinkedIn does allow paid programs, but the
Okay.
thing is, like what Henry said, and Ed, you have to correct me on this because I'm not sure, but I would imagine they would have to take the method of taking them off, and then the numbers of conversions would be much fewer because you're taking them off of LinkedIn for a paid registration. Number one, and number two, since it's paid, people are like, not sure if I want to go or not. So I would imagine your numbers would be probably 1/10, or something like that. I'm just guessing, of course. I apologize. Does anyone else have some questions for Henry? I'm so pushy. No, awesome. Well, for Ed, you're on my right, but I'm pointing the other way.
I'm this way on my side.
Okay, cool, man.
All right. Henry, that was awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I picked up something new that that makes a lot of sense. And that is there's two ways that people can register for the LinkedIn event. The one that we were on yesterday, Troy, he used the other way where it's a checkbox. It fills in their LinkedIn email, which may not be their primary email, may not be the one that they're checking. My LinkedIn email is not the one that I check all the time. And then they're registered. I agree with you, Henry. There's trust with LinkedIn. That's the time to get as much information as you possibly can, not once they've left LinkedIn. So I would certainly do it that way. There's a little bit more friction, but the friction is in a place where there's already built-in trust. So I don't think you're going to run into any problems with for signups there.
Actually, I'll let you know, Ed, but I believe maybe LinkedIn has them type in another email, but I'm not sure. I'll find out.
Okay. Yeah. When I did it a couple different times, it was already filled, but you could change it if you wanted to. I'm just not sure whether they allow you to put wording in there to put like the best email. They just assume, okay, LinkedIn's email is the best email. But yeah, you and I will be figuring that out, I think, separately, but I'm happy to also share whatever else I pick up along the way.
Ed, I guess we can talk about our little program. A couple of us are involved in.
Yeah.
We have a couple of co-authors, and just the ideas behind it as far as the plan. And if there's any, that way you can explain how to kind of run a whole program, if you will.
Okay. Yeah. One of the things that it's kind of funny, and I won't call out names. But the same program that Troy and I did you attend that one with Mike?
No, I was double booked. Mike, what's his last name? I just said it.
Yeah, I don't want to say.
No, you can say.
No, because I'm going to say some stuff that's.
Oh. It's all right. Good
It
guy.
may be embarrassing for Mike. And oh, by the way, Bob, you do look like Luke Skywalker.
I was on that webinar.
You were on? Okay. All right. Well, so before the webinar, Mike did one fatal mistake Mike made. And a lot of people make this because people in the past have not had to check. And that's to make sure that your emails are going to get delivered when you start your campaign.
Right.
So I'd been on the list. I didn't really pay attention to his pre-webinar emails. But then when I looked for the link for the webinar, it was in my spam folder in Outlook. And I go, So I signed up again in Gmail and it went to spam and Gmail also. So all of his emails were going to spam. I emailed him about, an hour before the event. He replied in minutes. Obviously he wanted to fix that because all of his post-event emails are going to go into spam too. And it would cost him a lot of money if that happened, because in most cases in webinars, the bulk of the money is made after the webinar and the follow-up. And that wasn't going to happen. Plus, there are going to be a lot of people that weren't going to attend the webinar because they couldn't find the event link anywhere. So one of the things that we'll do before we start is to make sure we stress test everything, that all the emails are going to get delivered. We specialize in email deliverability and open rate optimization. So that's the first thing that if you're going to do an event, do make sure that you set up a seed list of email accounts,
So
and you
Ed, quick
send those
question.
emails to those emails before you do anything else.
So Ed, quick question. So you're saying that if an average of 35% of the emails always go to spam, in this case, you said 100% of the emails went to
All up,
spam?
yeah. Other, they may not. If you were on a regular webmail or not one of the other big providers, you probably got it. But for sure, Outlook and Gmail, those emails are going to spam. That's a nightmare for a presenter.
So how would you solve that? I mean, when you say stress test, I think like you're the only email expert here, right? You have two LinkedIn experts, but only one email expert. So how do you just in a short 30 seconds, how do you generally solve that?
Well, the first thing you have to do is set up a seed list of emails, like 3 to 4 emails for each of the 4 major mailbox providers: AOL, Outlook, Yahoo, and Gmail. And then you want to send whatever emails you're going to send to your list to those emails. And you want to do it early enough so that if some are going into the spam, you can address that problem, deliverability problem. And if you get one email that's going into spam, you probably have a lot more that are going into spam. It's rarely ever a one-off event. It's usually
how do you know, Ed, that it went to spam if you're the sender?
So you wouldn't unless you own the email boxes you're sending the emails to. That's why you have to set up a seed list. Hardly anyone does it. And in the past, you didn't have to. But because the mailbox providers are so, their spam filters are so sensitive now, anything that is, if your email accounts aren't set up properly, if you're using any automation, especially if you're using automation, you have to make sure that all your security DNS records are properly authenticated. If one's off, it's going to spam.
So let me reiterate what you're saying to clarify for everyone else. When he's talking about creating a seed list, he says that you control the in and the out.
The
Of
emails that you own.
Yeah, and that way you can run a test for all the major providers, or he could run a test, or whoever, to make sure some of those don't go initially to spam. Now, my question is, when you say there is an issue, how do you you said address the issue? That's kind of like cloudy to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if you
That's the short answer is you hire us. You find me on the internet somehow. You do whatever you have to do. You carry your pigeon.
But what's the general, like the
Hire a
general
private detective.
the general over rules on fixing those type of things
Right.
in like 15 seconds?
Lydia has her hand up, so she has a question too.
No, I don't have a question. I'm adding to the discussion.
Oh, go ahead.
I've been an email solution provider for 20 years. Ed alluded to DNS settings. So that's the first thing that you want to do when you start using an email marketing application is set up DNS, SPF, and DKIM and SPF and possibly DMARC settings. And that is in your email marketing account. It's also adding new fields to your DNS settings where your URL, your domain is hosted like GoDaddy. What we've done in addition to that is provide a tool where you can, when you finish building your email, you can click a button and get a spam report. And it's actually 2 programs. The second one is in more detail, and it shows you exactly which words might be flagged and what might be questionable. And another thing, when you're warming up emails or warming up email addresses, one thing that you can do in Gmail is send yourself an email from your email marketing application to your Gmail account. And over on the far right of that email are 3 little buttons. And when you click on that, you can see the entire original email, including DKIM, SPF, and DMARC settings, and it'll tell you if if they're correctly configured. And then if you really want to go like the extra mile, go to mxtoolbox.com and test your domain to see if you're on any spam lists. Because a lot of the responsibility for deliverability has shifted from the ESPs to the senders. And if you don't have a good online reputation, your email is likely gonna end up in somebody else's spam folder.
Yeah, those are all very good reasons. I think that's kind of what Ed was saying, was when you're sending yourself, you can definitely check some of those things out, and you're much more specific. I think the bigger issue here is, you know, when we get the list and we're actually emailing lists, I guess that would make sense because it's not going the other way around. So, do you have anything to add to that, Ed? I was thinking the other way around. I was thinking but that doesn't really matter on a.
Well,
on
the
event.
first thing you want to do before you start, because everybody has all these great plans for campaigns, and Mike did. His pre-webinar series or pre-event series and post webinar series looked pretty solid. But none of that works. It's kind of like the old saying, or the saying that Mike Tyson used to have. No one's afraid of me until they get punched. And then all their plans kind of end. And that's kind of what happened, is that if you can't get your emails delivered, it doesn't matter if you have the greatest sales funnel in the world. Nobody's seeing your emails. No one's going into the funnel. So you've got to take care of that first, and then you do everything else second. The two other things besides the DNS records you want to look at is as Lydia had mentioned, your domain reputation, your sender IP. If you're using an email service provider, you want to make sure your sender IP is good, not poor. And then content. Content is mostly going to put you in the promotional tab, but unless people are looking for you in the promotional tab, they're not going to see. You might as well be in spam, but it can also put you in spam. So once you've checked that, you've sent the email, you've created the emails, you've sent them to your seed list, everything got delivered. Now you're good to go, and all the other stuff that you were doing or planning to do should work well. You should have a pre-email sequence. And in our case, the email sequence that I'm recommending is more of tips, actionable tips that we can provide people leading up to the webinar.
Hey, Ed,
So-
I'm gonna you're giving a lot of information, so I'm gonna pause every once in a while to reiterate.
Okay.
So what you're referring to is, if you have an event, say 4 or 5 weeks out, these emails are the ones sent before the event,
Right.
to increase engagement or reduce the drop off rate,
Right.
or even to do a special offer or pre-offer or whatever.
Right. And if you're providing actionable tips that somebody can go and take the tip, go use it, see a result right away, they're more likely to open up the next email and the email after that, and email after that if you do that. The other thing that we can do, which Mike did, and you and I were talking about it, then all of a sudden we saw Mike doing it, and that is have some sort of contest or incentive to get people to participate in inviting their list. And I think the easiest way to get people to invite other people is to show value in that pre-email sequence. And it would be one of the things they probably say is, hey, I'm attending this webinar that's being put on in a couple of weeks by Troy. I've already implemented a couple of the tips that he gave me in the email. I think you would benefit from it too, and invite them to it. And then the prize or the benefit to them might be something of value, a bigger tip, something that we could put a price point on that we would give to them.
Well, so there was one thing that came up during this discussion earlier today. How do you distinguish if they actually contributed to the list? I think that was the missing link. Like if they're helping, I mean, I guess if you don't know, they can just say, yeah, I helped do this, and you give them whatever, offer that you want to provide. But
Right.
I don't know if you've worked that out, but I think that's
Well,
one of the kinks there.
Mike, I pointed out one thing Mike did wrong. This is one thing that he did really well. And that is he asked people to screenshot their invitations after the invitation had been sent so he could see the number of people that they invited. And there's proof of the invitation. And then from that, he would send out his gift to those people. And he said he got about 2,000 people or 2,000 people invited, additional 2,000 people invited because he did that. And if he would have done this 2 weeks earlier, given himself a little bit more time, he would have had a lot more people invited to the event than the 2,000.
Well, we have to thank Mike for that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That's actually a great idea.
Yeah, it was very clever. It was very clever. And so then after the event is over, you want to have the post emails going out. Mike had people just going directly to this is where I don't think it was thought out very well. Going to an appointment booking page where he would talk to them about coaching them on how to do an event like he did. I would prefer to have a straight offer. In this case, it'll be the book in combination with consulting afterwards, and then keep promoting the book. Because we're taking either excerpts from the book as from tips, which will pre-sell it. They'll already see value in the book, and we want to position it so they'd want the rest of the book.
One thing that I'm
10%
thinking
on it.
about is, whatever we have to decide, whatever the event's going to be specifically on, and it'll be on several chapters. One of the chapters could be that exact same thing as far as how we set this event up to be successful.
Sure.
I think that would be very valuable. And in the book, we would have step-by-step items that will kind of walk them through it. So I was thinking, as far as the tips, that's a great idea to provide little tips here and there. And then we can come up with an offer to incentivize them to invite people. And then the other chapter could be something like a daily guide, or what can you do to reduce your time on LinkedIn down to an hour or something like that.
One of the things that we could do is a survey. Let's say I wouldn't want to push it out more than 3 weeks. 3 weeks at max. Like we start and we got a 3-week window to launch it. Maybe in week 2 we do a survey to people to find out what exactly they would like, and it's an incentive. So we're kind of pre-selling the incentive, and they're picking it, telling us what they'd like. And certainly, if we pick the incentive that the majority of people like, they're going to participate in inviting other people to get that incentive.
So you're referring to creating a poll
Right.
on LinkedIn, and then we can boost it to get enough.
It could be on LinkedIn. It could be off of LinkedIn, just going out to the list of people. But it could be a combination of both.
Yeah, you could send them an email to go to the post.
And go to the post on LinkedIn, right? That would for sure ensure that the people who wanted that thing or voted for that thing, there would be a high percentage chance that they're going to invite people. And we just need to show them how to invite the best people. I think we should talk to Henry again about using Sales Navigator to do that, to target people. You can target people outside of Sales Navigator. They're not as targeted. You can target them by location, by industry, but clearly it's going to be better if you could cherry pick the people that you know from Navigator, and it would be faster to do there than to try to go through the list and scroll down the page and look at each profile. No one's going to invite 1,000 people if they have to look at every profile in their connection list.
So speaking on that, you may not know the details. If you don't, it's okay. But I'm very good at actually creating a list or on LinkedIn Sales Navigator. The disconnect is, how do you apply that list to the actual event, versus their basic stuff?
Yeah, we need to ask Henry about that, because that I'm not sure of. I'm not sure of that. We'll find the answer. The other thing, just going back to the tips for just a second, everyone who's participating, what I would recommend is that we have at least one tip come from each of the contributors, maybe more than one, because we want them to get something out of it. Also at the end, there'd be an offer that they would have if there's services that they want to sell. And we want to give them an opportunity besides the people who buy the book. We want to give people that are coming into the event an opportunity to highlight the co-authors or co-contributors, so they have an opportunity to get business out of it too before the book is even sold.
So let's just paint this picture. We have, say, 3 weeks. We have 2 emails per week. We have 6 emails, right? Does that sound about right, Ed?
I do 3, maybe more than that. You could get away with, if you provide value, you can get away with 1 a day.
I don't know if anyone wants to raise their hands. Who wants a daily email? Probably not. I don't know.
Well, if every day you got a tip that benefited you on your LinkedIn profile or your LinkedIn account, where you were either getting more people to engage with you or getting more people to your profile, or getting or writing better posts so that you get more engagement, and you say, no, I don't want another one this week. I'll wait until next week for you to give me a tip that
I guess what I'm thinking, and this is just challenging you, Ed. I like you. Okay, we're
That's
friends.
fine. Yeah, no, it's all good.
But in my mind, I'm thinking that these people are business people, and they have a certain capacity to absorb information.
Yep.
And you're hammering them every single day. They're like, oh my gosh, I deal with LinkedIn because I have to, not because I like to. So,
well, I've always thought that emailing once a week, 2 to 3 times a week, 3 times being the most, and my business partner, co-founder would tell you the same thing. But I am seeing plenty of situations where people are emailing every day and there's not a big drop off. People aren't getting bored. The open rates aren't dropping. It may be a decision that we make as we're going through it. If we have high open rates, people are consuming the emails, are clicking on links. It's fine to kind of push that a little bit, have some other emails in reserve that we could use to increase the number. I think it's important just to get people on the event, to give them enough information, incentive, that they're going to believe that there's going to be a great benefit to show up. And on the back end, we're going to have a good plan in place. We will have a good plan in place for follow-up, and give people alternate ways of viewing the content. Some people may be interested in the content, but do not want to attend a webinar. Just are not going there. I want the information. I'm not attending a webinar. I don't want to look at a video. I want to look at a sales page. Maybe I want to look at a PDF. I want to look at a summary of what it is. And so we'll provide that with a link to the book.
Yeah. A lot of times when I'm actually posting on LinkedIn, I'll create a series, and then I'll take that series and create an article, right? I try to reuse that content. The same in the same aspect of how you are, how you're sending emails. I think my daughter's trying to get in. I'm so sorry. The same aspect you're trying to send emails. Maybe the tip could be the short version of the tip, and it could be a link to the actual LinkedIn post. We can kind of reuse that, so we have a little bit of information that's good enough on its own. But if they want to see the full-fledged information, they can go to LinkedIn.
Yep.
And kind of reuse that.
And if we have some time to just think through the flows, the workflows that we want to take people through, then we can start segmenting that list and providing the content that they want, and then present the book in a way that would be favorable to them buying it based on what information we have on them, which emails they open, which links they click, which information they consume the most. That person's going to have a different reason for buying the book than somebody that maybe didn't click on the same stuff, didn't open the same emails. But that's something that we just have to think through. But if we do that, we'll see really high open rates. It's when we're working with people, we're seeing open rates of anywhere from 30 to 65%. And it's mainly because we're providing them the content that they're interested in reading at the time that they're interested in reading it. It's all about workflows. And Lydia could speak on that too. I think she's being an email service provider.
So what we're talking about is on the LinkedIn events, planning workflows and the strategy, not just for the event itself, but all the steps in order to do that. Whether it's a few emails being sent prior, either daily or a few times a week, whatever is decided that's appropriate, to keep them engaged. So balancing that, not being annoying, but actually being helpful type of situation. These tips could also include, pre-sales and things like that. And if you did it in a very soft way as an additional offering, by the way, if you want, take a look at this type stuff. When you set that actual event up, you want to set it up where LinkedIn is actually providing you the email list, right?
Right.
And then before all that, you want to make sure that whatever email you send out for these emails for this event, prior and post, that your email's clean, by pre-vetting your own email and running the test properly.
Yeah.
So you
and cleaning the list too. We don't want to have any bounces. So whatever email they put in, we want to make sure it's a valid email.
For the audience, explain what cleaning the list means.
It's less hygiene. It's making sure that it's a valid email. There's some services that we can use that check their email against their social profile, and because a lot of people, if they connect their main email to say Facebook or Twitter, and see if that's the case. If it's on Facebook, if it's on Twitter, if it's being used in LinkedIn, it's most likely a good email list. But the service we're going to use is going to check to make sure it's a valid email. I'm going to double check, and mainly the unopens, that we have the best email for that person that's not opening up the emails. And then we can test a different email address. We really want to make sure that everybody that's on the list is getting the emails, and we're not losing anybody in the process. Somebody that wanted to buy didn't get the emails. That we don't want that to happen, and we don't want to find out there's a problem once we're in it. We want to fix the problems before we start the campaign, not while we're in the campaign. It's the worst time to do it. We don't want to be putting out fires then.
Ed, can there be an opt-in? In other words, you send me an email, can I opt out? Have that on there?
Yes. In fact, I recommended to Troy that we use. In fact, this is the way I want to do it. It's a 2-level approach. So I'm using 2 different email type accounts. One is a cold email type account, and that's the initial email that'll go out to them. Then they will have to opt in to the LMS or autoresponder service that will run all the campaigns. And so we know that they want the emails, and if they don't say they want to participate, they want the emails, they're not going on that list. They'll stay on the cold email list.
So if you're setting these emails prior or post, are we going to have the standard unsubscribe options as well?
Yes.
You have to. It's federal regulation.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Ed, since you're setting up the campaign that way, when you, I keep going back to Benef because that's my company and because Troy has a Benef account. When you use a form that you've built in Ventive for people to opt in, when they submit that form, it automatically adds all of the available, publicly available data associated with that email address to their CRM profile.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll know if they have a Twitter account, LinkedIn account, how many followers, etc. And then if they use a company, if you know the company they're affiliated with, you enter the company URL and save that on their profile, and a research button appears so you can do research on a company level as well.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Very good. Very impressive.
And there's extensive tracking both for web pages, landing pages, and the emails too, of course.
Yeah, Ed, I don't know how much time you have for that, but I'll just give you access to my account,
Okay.
and you can take a dive into that and see what.
Yeah, it's going to be a learning curve thing. It's
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the timing is going to be
If you
difficult,
already
but
know- if you already know email marketing apps, it's not that big a deal. We can schedule a Venep tour when at your leisure, at
Oh.
your availability.
okay. That'd be awesome.
Great, thank you.
Ed, is the book going to be with or without?
With or without, I'm not sure what you mean.
With or without the audio? In other words, do I
Oh,
get a packet so I can listen in the car?
that's a good question. I don't think we have audio, do we,
Go
Troy?
up, go up to a higher price, the combo package, so you get a bigger margin. Just a thought.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea. I don't know if we've discussed that because we've talked
Yeah.
about the
well, not
kind
the
of the
first.
consultation.
Yeah, this is the thing is that we're gonna have a first version of the book, and that first version, this is how I'm thinking about the book, and this for everyone else that don't have no idea what we're talking about. We're collectively writing a book called the LinkedIn Red Book, and it talks about LinkedIn specific tasks, relationship building, CRM, SOPs, building a team, virtual assistants. And so it's going to be a Bible. So it's literally going to be a big book. And so people say, oh, I don't want to read this. I don't want to see this or whatever. So I look at it like a modeling agency where there's a bunch of blondes, right? I want to be the brunette. And I just want to stand out. That's the whole. No, seriously, that's the whole thing. And what I'm trying to achieve is a Bible. It's like, oh yeah, those are the people that have the Bible. I don't care if they read it or not. I mean, it's going to be true step by step because what's really going to happen is that they are going to look at it. They're going to figure out, or they're going to say, you know what? They wrote the book. I'm going to call them to help me do it. And so that's the thought process behind that. So as far as the voice reading chapter, this is a technical book. So a lot of it, I don't know.
You'll have a done for you service eventually, you think?
Yeah. More, it's nothing ever done for you. It's more done with you. But yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I'm so sorry, Ed. We monopolized your time.
I paused it so I wasn't making any noise in the background. No, I'm the guest. I agree. I agree with Bob, with Luke, that he does.
Let's tell him to change his name.
He does. He just looks like
I mean,
it. I almost think they're related or
you
something.
get free beers and what do you drink? What do you drink, Luke? Do you drink? Are you a whiskey drinker or are you a beer drinker?
I hope Bob, you're not insulted by us saying that.
Yeah, he's on mute, but I didn't look insulted.
Okay.
I'm a Guinness guy.
Okay.
Oh, you're a beer guy. Okay. Yeah, so just change it to Luke, and they'll just give you free beers.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's really Luke Skywalker, then he's drinking blue milk, and let's be honest. But
somebody knows Star Wars better than I do, Selena.
Well, the challenge to what I've outlined is that means that we've got to have some chapters of the book and tips ASAP. I can't really put together the email sequence until that part's done. So we need to we need to get the contributions from each person. We need to decide, I'd like to have more tips than we can use, and then we use the best tips. That's going to help us to create more engagement and get people more involved, get them to invite their friends, and ultimately get more sales in the end and more prospects for all of us.
So what I suggest, Ed, is come up with the general layout of what you think a first flow would be, and then we could present that. We could present that to the whole group, and then we can make the tweaks because at least we'll have a starting point, for what you're thinking. I think all the ideas that you have are great. And as far as connecting the Sales Navigator with the actual LinkedIn invite, I kind of already know how they do it. I just didn't.
Okay.
They're using a piece of software to kind of bring that one thing to another for the thing. I actually have a meeting right after this to pick up some licenses for that, and it's really starting in 1 minute. So
Okay.
I would
we need to
invite
wrap up.
everyone. And hey, Jason, you ended up a little bit late, man. Jason, we're having an event. I want you to meet Ed, and you guys share each other's information. But Jason has another event, and his event is going to be a paid event. And so he was
cool.
interested in some of the stuff here. But before I keep on blabbing, I want to have anyone that has any questions, last minute questions, to go ahead and raise their hand. If not, it's all good. All right, we got Shelly.
Yeah, so I've been registering for this event, but was not coming in. And today I've been here, and I must say this is one of the most informational networking session I've been to. I didn't do much of networking. I don't have any question, but you guys have been great. I mean, this has been a learning session for me. It is amazing, and I think I would be there next week as well.
Awesome. We got some value
Yeah.
here. Yeah. Yeah. I need to set the Zoom so we have the following weeks and stuff like that. All right. So I'm going to let everyone go. I think half the people dropped off. And then it's nice meeting you, Shelly. And you too, Luke. Have a great day.
Take care, guys.